The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Bowen Yang is taking a step back from his podcast Las Culturistas to prioritize his mental health. Bowen announced taking a very short break. Bad bouts of depersonalization are effing me up so bad, but I'm trying my best to get better. Please take care. Be soon. He posted that on Instagram. Depersonalization is a term you might not be familiar with. The Mayo Clinic calls it a psychological condition in which a person regularly feels that they're having an out-of-body experience and that their surroundings are not real. Ready, Stead, Cut watched Tom Segura's new special, and they loved it. They called it one of the best of the decade. Wow. Minor-ish spoilers here. I'll take a pregnant pause, give you a second, but not too bad. They write, he opens up by asking if they'll stop taking down Confederate statues. He follows that up with a bit about meeting a supermodel and how they are equally as freak as a 7-footer because they're unbelievably good-looking in person. Segura has the perfect way of intertwining his jokes, creating some incredibly funny callbacks. What made it even better was how he incorporated jokes about his father's final words into later jokes about his kids. They write, there's something about Segura's body language that makes his jokes that much funnier. It's not outlandish or over the top, but quite subtle, just enough to add a little oomph on the joke to get it over the top. Another thing is the deadpan look on his face through some of his raunchier jokes, and it's perfect. Very few comics anymore get on the stage, tell jokes, make you laugh, and get off the stage. Tom Segura's Sledgehammer is a masterclass of storytelling from one of the best comedians in the game. Punchline after punchline will have you in tears laughing at Segura's incredibly dark jokes. It's one of the best stand-up specials of not just this year, but this decade. Wow. Are you in New Orleans? Head over to the Smoothie Center and see Bert Kreischer, Mark Norman, Tiffany Haddish, Big J. Ogerson, Chad Daniels, Ralph Barbosa, and Rosebud Baker. Wow. What's this, Johnny Mac? It's Bert Kreischer's fully loaded tour. Mark Norman said, it's a party on the bus. You sleep on the bus with comedians. There are activities. I woke up one morning and there was a slip and slide. It was in Jackson, Mississippi. They had no water in the city, but we're here to play a dunking contest. Norman says that dividing the tour into several short stints made it survivable. He says it's only a couple days at a time, otherwise you'd die of alcohol poisoning. Nimesh Patel told the Last Laugh podcast he knew immediately after he got his cancer diagnosis that he'd be talking about it on stage. He said, the night I went to the hospital, I knew it was going to be something. Having done comedy now for almost 14 years, you get an understanding of when something's happening to you that you should be taking notes about. I knew right away that something was happening that was going to be fun to talk about. I did not know it was going to turn into a 45-minute thing. The great Hannibal Buress once told me, you got to talk about it right when it happens. You got to get on stage right away. Even if you don't have stuff written, just get on stage right away. Patel went up at the Comedy Cellar, told the audience what happened. It helped that by the time he started joking about it, he was already cancer-free. Before he got cancer, his biggest claim to fame was getting kicked off stage in the middle of a stand-up set at Columbia University's Asian American Alliance in 2018. He said, about 20 minutes in, I said something that some of them found a bit offensive, which at the time I never found offensive, and I still don't find offensive. And I think if you ask those organizers if they find it offensive now, I think they may have changed their tune, but they came on stage, kicked me off, and cut my mic after asking me to make some closing remarks. The joke that got him in trouble, I know you're wondering, was premised on the idea that no one would choose to be gay if they were already black. His joke, nobody's doubling down on hardship. No black dude ever wakes up, looks in the mirror, and says, you know what? This black stuff, too easy. I'm going to put on a Madonna halter top, some Jordans, and make some Indian dudes really uncomfortable. He got some awkward chuckles from the audience, but then the event's organizers walked on stage and accused him of being disrespectful. Patel says, I can see why you would kind of take it as offensive, but it's not at all. The most offensive part is the tag where I say that the only person who chooses to be gay every day is Mike Pence. That's homophobic in a way, right? That's me kind of outing someone who may or may not be gay, and I'm making fun of him. That I know is offensive. That's not what you took umbrage with. That part got a much bigger laugh. Are you in the Ozarks? Well, Jeff Foxworthy's at the Black Oak Amp in Lampe tonight, 7:30, the Good Old Days tour. Jeff said, that's one of my favorite parts of the country. I always enjoy coming there, and I have good shows there. It's one of those places where, let me think of the right way to phrase this, I don't have to worry as much about what I say because I know me and my audience are on the same page. For my whole career, because I'm not mean-spirited, I just wrote with the idea of making people laugh because I would always do, why do women always do this and men do that? And well, then I started getting emails from people going, well, I'm a woman and I don't do that. And I'm a man, I don't do that. So I'm like, all right, I'll change it to, I do this and my wife does that. And I just kind of got to the point where I thought, when you're having to edit yourself all the time, because a comic's supposed to be a truth teller, we're supposed to look at things that we do in society and kind of hold it up to people and go, why do we say this or why do we do that? I just kind of reached a point where I'm not out to hurt anybody's feelings, but I don't care. I'm just going to try and be funny and not worry about it. Another reason he enjoys the Ozarks, he says, most people don't know this about me, but one of my hobbies when I'm not working is looking for arrowheads. That area through the Ozarks there is one of the best places in the country to look for them. I don't want to buy them. I just like to find them. I didn't know that, Jeff. All All right, what's the show? He says, I try to do about 90 minutes. I'm going to do maybe half an hour of whatever was the last special I did, and then a half hour of new stuff, and then a half hour of something older that people really like and request. I figure if I do it like that, maybe everybody leaves happy, you know? I try to do a third, and a third, and some nights it goes a different way. You know, somebody will bring something up and you go down a path, but when I walk out there, it's kind of where, in my mind, I'm going to go. I like music, and I always tell my music friends, our things are totally different, because if you write 4 hits, you can play till you're 90, because people drive a long way to hear those 4 hits. Whereas with a comic, especially in the early days, if you did a special or something like that, people would say, that's funny, but I've already seen that material. I want to see something new. So you're always trying to write new stuff. My brain doesn't hold but 90 minutes at a time. So whatever the old stuff was, I just flushed it. But then I'd have people come out and going, hey, would you please tell the thing about the time you saw your grandmother naked? And I'd go, how does that start? Because I can't recall. But now I've come to appreciate that older stuff because not everybody's seen it, especially if they hadn't seen you in concert before or something.
Do you love your Peloton?
Oh, I sure do.
Well, I know you do because you started a podcast about one. If you love your Peloton and can't get enough of it and all the news that goes along with it, you should check out our show. It's called The Clip Out. It's a great place to go for instructor news, new classes, motivational tips, corporate machination.
We don't just tell you the news, we also give you our thoughts on why things are happening. And each week we also interview a member of the Peloton community. Sometimes it's, somebody like me, just a regular person riding their bike.
Sometimes it's snooking.
You never know.
You never know.
The Clip Out is about anyone who loves their Peloton.
Every week we take you behind the scenes and inside the world of Peloton. The Clip Out is available wherever you get your podcasts or check out our website,
theclipout.com.
The Boom Chicago Comedy Festival. No, it's not in Chicago. It's in Amsterdam. Yes, that Amsterdam. Tonight, Seth Meyers wasn't sold out yet when I recorded this. There were 10 tickets left. You could maybe still get in. Shot of Improv at 9:30. Let's take a look at the weekend. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, 30-year anniversary show, the 2000s. 9 o'clock, 30-year anniversary show, 90s edition. 1 ticket left for that one. Sunday's show, 6 o'clock, Comedy Stuck in the Dam. 8 o'clock, The Ladies of Boom Chicago. Vale Daily was very excited that Tom Cotter was coming to town. They said his style, inspired by vaudeville, includes innuendos, puns, and double entendres. When he writes his jokes, it's like a Rubik's Cube. Themes revolve around family life with 3 sons, self-deprecating jokes like how short, broke, and pasty Whitey is, and a touch of politics, though these days he finds himself gingerly waltzing into political jokes with a preamble that assures audiences he's split right down the middle, and this won't be a lecture. Tom says, we'll just have fun. You can always find the levity somewhere. People want to laugh. And then here's a line that just makes me groan. If laughter is the best medicine, I yearn to be drugged. Hold on, I have to go throw up in my red garbage can in the corner there. Cotter guarantees laughter as he packs 2 hours of material into 60 minutes. I promised them I'll be funny, and he adds he loves to chat with audience members after the show, so stop by and say hi if you see him in the lobby. And here's one that jumped out at me from an interview with Jamili Maddox. He was talking about comedians, and he said, watching comedians like Doug Stanhope really makes me happy because it's like an older comedian. Doug Stanhope? It's like an older comedian that's still, like, really funny. And this is where my head explodes. An older comedian like Doug Stanhope that's still really funny? I don't think of Doug as old at all. But this made me realize I've been comedy adjacent for a few decades now. It's been more than a minute. And when I first met Doug Stanhope, he was a young guy, and I looked it up. Doug is now 56. Anyway, Jamili said, when you see an older comedian like ancient Doug Stanhope that's still really funny somehow, because you see a lot of them like falling apart. Whew. All right, I guess I got to go take a nap. That's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.